love. Jungle of love. We're running in the jungle of love. Listen to my conditions, I got you on my mind. You were stuck in my head and I don't know why. We got a billion reasons, we got this melody. And you can trust me, baby, we got everything. Call me whenever you feel alone, babe. And when you need to cry, I'll be by your side. Call me whenever you need someone, babe. And when you need to escape from 1,000 fires, I'm gonna kiss you wherever you are. And I'm gonna miss you, I will never lie. Call me whenever you need someone, babe. We're running in the jungle of love. Jungle of love. We're running in the jungle of love.
I remember the days, always at the same place, the same people every day. I will never forget this black old Corvette standing in front of my way. We were both in high school, I thought I was a fool. Oh, when I was falling for you, you keep drawing me in, and I know it's a sin, but even so, yeah, I need you. You taste like candy, eat you on a Sunday. Feel so bittersweet, knowing I can leave. You taste like candy, eat you on a Sunday. I can feel the beat of my heart and beats, 'cause you taste like candy. I remember the night when you kissed me goodbye, and I said I'd be just fine. The next day you were gone, left your coat and moved on. But looking back, I still want you. You taste like candy, eat you on a Sunday. Feel so bittersweet, knowing I can leave. You taste like candy, eat you on a Sunday. I can feel the beat of my heart and beats, 'cause you taste like candy. Tasty. Eat you on a Sunday. Feel so bittersweet, knowing I can live. You taste like candy, eat you on a Sunday. I can feel the beat of my heart increase.
You don't know what goes on behind these eyes. You don't know the loneliness hidden inside. You don't know I wanna eat you up alive. Come and get to know me, my type of wild. I'm the kind that spins you and hangs you dry. Well, I'm already on to another side. If you gave me your whole life, I would still have room for more, 'cause I've got that appetite. Baby, I never feel whole. You might get me through the night, but it will never be enough. It will never be enough, 'cause I'm a black black, go for your love. Cause I'm a black, go for your love.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to EML. We are here for round 7 of the championship as we take in the Belgian Grand Prix from the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. My name is James Hay, going to be taking you through the stream as always, and joining me in the commentary box for the second time in as many races, it is Mr. Daniel Hogarth. Dan, how you doing?
Thank you very much, James. Once again, an absolute pleasure to be alongside you and a privilege to be covering this fantastic league yet again. Of course, this is the Premier Division of the EML Teams Championship and can't wait to see how this one is going to unfold. Today is the 7th round of this 10-round championship. We're very deep in the campaign now, getting towards the business end of the championship battles, and this one, of course, from the Belgian Grand Prix, one of the most iconic circuits, Spa-Francorchamps on the entire calendar. So I can't wait to see how this is going to unfold. And of course, after the last round, really established the theme that's been going on these last few rounds. That Leonis Esports team, very dominant as of late, and they are well out in front of the championship. The question is, can they sustain that lead, maybe even build on it throughout this 7th round here tonight?
Well, let's hope so, because D. Daniel, of course, already picked up the League One win. Sorry for anybody that I've just spoilt the result for the League One result there. But Leonis leading the way on 214 points. Customs GT in second on 173. Team Mentalism in third on 153. With FRL Esports 3 points behind and fourth on 150. Tied with TTG Esports, and then STV in sixth are just a further 3 points behind. I've mentioned STV for the win of the Teams Championship. Not really going that well, is it? 147 points they're on in 6th. With F1 Friends Cup in 7th on 107. TNR, Team Norway Racing in 8th on 100. With CPI Esports in 9th on 29. And our newcomers into the championship, Spartans Gaming in 10th on the nil point. It is their first race here tonight with both their drivers, which we'll come on to in just a second. But Leonis have had a really consistent theme, as you mentioned, Dan. 3 wins and 8 podiums overall between themselves over the 6 races so far. Can they continue their really good form, especially from tonight?
Well, I hate to say this, but pretty much every sign points to yes, because I think they've been double podiums in all of the last 3 rounds, so their form has only got better as of late, and of course they got that dramatic win last time out at Silverstone with Amazinger after that last lap battle that they had at the front. It was absolutely stunning. Him and Kazuza went at it on the final lap. We'll see if we're going to get that kind of thrilling finale again here tonight, but I think they have a good chance of potentially stretching out that lead, but there's certainly a lot of other teams that can contend. Of course, you had Customs GT being the closest team to them. We'll see what they can do tonight then with their lineup of Yamaba and Teruya. But it's just, but yeah, I think that of course everyone should be up there, but it's been a very closely fought championship all the way through. Leonis up front, they got a good chance of extending it, but it can certainly go either way from tonight. Then 4 rounds to go, and a pendulum could swing either way as we head into the final few rounds of this season.
Let's have a look then at the drivers that are going to be driving. Luckily, no hard pronunciations for us tonight, unlike Dan with Andorera there. There we are. TTG Esports, represented by Benny, Venoms, and Gaginio. Leonis, represented by Amazing Hour, Harry Banks, and Bjorn, the Dream Team, essentially. IFR, represented by Ace, Joey, and Flack. FRL Esports, represented by Young Power, Chapel Elite, and Terror Racer. TNL, represented by Volokong and Frederick until Pedro. Spartans Gaming, represented by Will, Tadio, and Ruleplay. CPI Esports, represented by Lewis and Bullet Boy. STV Esports are represented by Fenny and Josu. CGT are represented by Yamaba and Herrera. And F1 at Friends Cup are represented by Jorge, Ruben, and Kaiser. Some very familiar names there. Some very new names as well, including the two guys from Spartans Gaming who are going to be racing. I think it's Will and Tadio that are in the lobby. How do you rate how they're going to get on? Because I do not know a lot about this team at all.
Yeah, well, I think I'm certainly with you on that one, so it's going to be very intriguing to see how these relative newcomers are going to get on here tonight. And I think this is one of the most beautiful things about this championship. I say this pretty much every round, but different driver lineups coming in all the time, and very much always are going to throw up new surprises, throw up different results, and that's why we've seen the pendulum swinging either which way all the way throughout this season. But a full grade of 20 drivers. We should be getting underway very, very shortly, and another fabulous round in store. Of course, Spa, the longest track on the calendar, one of the wildest tracks on the entire calendar as well. So it should be fantastic. And qualifying, of course, going to be first up. You can get rain around here, and of course we saw that as well at the league run race just an hour or so ago. And so there's certainly that chance looming over the drivers' heads. We'll see how it goes. But of course, this track's so unpredictable. I think it's going to throw up results to match it as well. We'll see how it goes. But if that League One race is anything to go by, even at the longest track on the calendar, this field should be immensely close all the way throughout.
This should be immensely close, definitely. And we don't want to see a repeat of a certain TTML Division 5 race around here, which always captures mine and Dan's attention for being the craziest race I think we've ever commentated on. Looking at the track, though, in question in Spa, 7 kilometres around a 4.3 mile circuit as well, known as the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, next to the village of Francorchamps in Belgium. Volkongen is just readied up in the lobby, so we should be getting ready very soon indeed. C1, C2 and C3 compounder tyres are available for the guys. That's the soft, mediums and the hards, I believe. 22 laps, 18 minutes worth of qualifying. You have got the best seat in the house ready for tonight's action. And Dan, I will cut across to you. How do we see qualifying panning out for all of these teams?
Well, of course, one thing that's really because this is a team's championship, this is going to be very, very exaggerated. Spa has 2 of the longest full throttle sections on the entire calendar. You've got from the exit of Las Soras all the way down to Lake Om in the first sector, and also from Campos Corner all the way down to the bus stop chicane is completely flat out as well. And so that's where you can see slipstream tactics really come into play. It can gain you several tenths over the course of the lap. So be on the lookout for some of the teams who are trying to employ that, because that can gain you a stunning advantage when the field often is so tight around here. And so it's going to be a lot to look out for. But I think that's going to be the main focal point, maybe looking for drivers going for slipstream tactics. And with that as well, of course, Spa, as you mentioned, longest track on the calendar, 7 kilometres in length. It's going to lead as well to drivers not being able to get quite as many runs in there. 3 if you're lucky, I'd say, around here. And it's a 1 minute 40 lap thereabouts. So certainly they're going to be looking out for. But it's a very unique qualifying session. I can't wait to get it started.
And we are about to get it started. The 10-second countdown is now on here within the lobby as we are about to go into qualifying. My final thoughts are, best of luck to all of the drivers out on track. Keep it clean, keep it consistent. Let's put on a show for our guys here viewing the stream. And without further ado, let us get started. Let us go into qualifying. Welcome along, everyone, to EML Premier. We are here for Season 1. It's Round 7 of the Championship as we take in the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps for the Belgian Grand Prix. 3 compounder tyres available for the guys out on track tonight. The C1, C2, C3, the soft, mediums and the hards. C1, of course, being the hards, C2 being the mediums, and C3 being the set of soft compounder tyres. 7-kilometre circuit this, and we are going to be going through the forest of Francorchamps here as we have a look now at the track in question. 7 kilometres, around 19 turns with the 2 DRS zones, one down the start finish straight, one up in towards Les Combes at turn 5. A lot of elevation change around this track. You've got to have a very stable setup around here, and it is also honestly going to be fascinating to see how this race is going to unfold out on track and how all these teams are going to do out on track. And speaking of going out on track, we are now here within the qualifying lobby, and one thing to say, very overcast.
Yeah, of course, here in the deep in the forests of Belgium, you can certainly see very volatile weather conditions, and I think we could be seeing that yet again. Spa, as I mentioned earlier, can be suspect to rain. Well, it's certainly not a guarantee. We do have those overcast conditions, as you mentioned, thick clouds hovering over the circuit, and so we'll see how that's going to unfold. But now all the drivers are just about to head out on track and get this underway, get things started here at Spa. And so we have an awful lot of possibilities to remember that what we mentioned about the slipstream earlier then. But of course, going to be so crucial to get the laps and so critical with so little time in the session, relatively speaking. And so mistakes cannot be made here. The driver's going to have to cut those out then. Here we go then, 17 more minutes ahead of us then, 20 drivers to tack on this iconic circuit. Can't wait to get it started. This qualifying session should be an immense spectacle to behold.
As Dan was mentioning there as well, we are deep in the forest here in Francorchamps, and honestly, Young Power is the first one out on track, and these weather conditions can change so quick. I remember watching the 24 Hours of Spa in 2019, I think it was, and there was snow. Yes, you heard that right, snow on the track, and we must have had about 5 seasons worth of weather within that 24 hours race, albeit that was endurance. This is Formula 1, and we've got 16 minutes and 20 seconds left as Young Power now comes through the final section of this track in towards the campus section, or campus corner, through this right-hander, and then through Stavelot at this next right-hander on the run-up towards Blanchemont. And it's going to be fascinating to see how the FRL man can get on, and nobody has set a lap time just yet. So if you're just tuned in right now, myself and Daniel Hoggard are taking you through the action, of course, here for EML Premier for round 7 of the championship, and we're now about to go on board with Young Power as he sets about on this lap. Runs up in towards the bus stop chicane at turn 18 and 19. Thought he was going to go into the pit lane there. That was a very wide entry on exit, as now he comes now down in towards turn 1 at La Source, already reaching nearly 300 kilometres an hour, running down in towards turn 1. So let's see what the FRL man can do. Through turn 1, car out to the right hand side there is just rejoining track. I wonder if that's his teammate, I think, just in front of him. Has to get out of the way regardless if. But Young Power now running up towards Eau Rouge and then through Radion. And that is his teammate, just cutting the corner to the left-hand side, or at least I think it is, as he now comes down the Kemmel Straight towards Les Combes. And this Les Combes chicane, very, very good out on track. Let's see the first sector from Young Power. It's very quick so far from Young Power through the first sector. It's 29.6 through the first sector, so right on the limit. Curve early as he catches the curve coming out of Bruxelles, and now on the run down in towards down in towards Bruxelles, and then in towards X Corner, otherwise known, of course, as No Name. As he runs now through the left-hander, and on the run down towards Pre-1, around halfway around the lap at this point, as we see now Young Power coming through brilliantly through P1 as he now comes down in towards this tight right and left section before Campus Corner at turn 13 on the circuit, as he now comes through the flying left and right complex, and now in towards Campus here, of course named after the Formula 2 team, as he now comes through the middle sector split. 113 flat on my end, looking at the task system, his middle sector 43.2 through the middle sector, longest middle sector I think on the calendar if I'm not mistaken, as he now comes through Blanchemont at turn 17, and then runs up the hill slightly in towards 18 and 19, of course being the bus stop chicane, and this modern track of Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. It got redone of course in the early 2000s, so now comes around the final corner. That's a lap on board, and Young Power comes across the line at 140.9. Very good lap there from Young Power.
Really nice time to kick things off indeed there, James. We're going to see now more lap times flying in at this early stage of the session, but that was a really good tour around this track by Young Power. We'll see if anyone can get up towards that kind of lap time. A lot of drivers to tackle over us. We've got Harry B over the line, of course, really impressed in the last few rounds, picking up some podiums, but unfortunately not valid that time around. We certainly still have more drivers to step up to the plate. Bullet Boy, I was just watching, he dives into the pit lane early, and so we're maybe seeing some guys not quite able to keep the lap times valid, but so far, Young Power at the top, Benny behind second, those two a little ways clear at the front of the field, but of course, a lot can change. We are still very early on in the session. It is incredibly early days here so far in quali, but Young Power looks to be holding the top spot for the moment then, about a 10.5 clear, but a lot of times to come in there. We've not even seen the dynamic duo of Amazing Air and Harry B getting laps on the board just yet. For the moment, Young Power pole position, still cruising up front, but there's a lot of lap times to come in there. He holds that pole, but there's going to be a lot more to be thrown on the table. But Young Power, great start to the session. Benny alongside him. FRL getting off to a strong start as well as TDG, but a lot could evolve so far. We've still got over 2/3 of the session remaining.
Plenty of invalidations there in the opening laps of qualifying. We see 8th go up into 5th position, the IFR man ahead of the SPRT man, Spartans Gaming man, of Will. Just ahead of him, Will came across the line to 141.8. Just to come on board with Harry Banks as well. He invalidated on a lap. It was a 41.5, I think, a 508, I think it was. And he finished 3rd if that lap was valid. He's down now on his lap. I think he's going to be coming back into the pit lane, not sending respective laps so far. Not sure if there's anybody actually coming out across the line. Chapelelli around the final corner. Let's see what he can do. The German comes across the line, and he goes 8th for 42 flat. The Britain merchant from last night, of course, in TTML Division 1, who won out on track, albeit, and he got promoted down to 6th because of a 5-second penalty and a 3-second penalty that he got picked up last night. But he goes 8th for the FRL team. His teammate, though, Young Power, more than the second ahead early on as we are through the first third of qualifying.
Yes, certainly. I think that Chapelelli didn't quite get the most out of himself, but FRL do look very encouraging so far here in qualifying, but of course a lot can evolve. Not sure if anyone's actually on a flying lap. We are definitely in that sort of down period, that transitional period in the session before we do get things back underway. I'm keeping an eye out for a potential rain because the conditions still very overcast, but judging by the fact that some people didn't even go out at the start, I'm thinking that these conditions probably are going to hold for at least a little while longer. And so who's going to be next up to the plate? It might actually be Amazing Hour to start a flying lap. And so I guess we're going to track with the Australian, who's really been the leading star so far of this EML Championship that he's been leading. That Leonis team to glory in the last few rounds. We'll see if he can continue that run of form. Now looking to set up the lap time then, opening up the throttle, opening up the DRS, and now coming through to kick off a flying lap around Spa, now heading in to last source to kick off the lap then. It's going to downshift it into first gear actually, and immediately short shifting to third. Really looking for a rotation through the apex and then traction on the exit. Now the exit of course so crucial in our last source as you're now preparing for the iconic uphill climb through a Rouge and then Radion. As now you look to Campbell opening up the DRS and now down the Campbell straight getting up to some of the highest speeds you're going to see on the entire track then, over 330 kilometers an hour and onto the brakes again, 129.8, not the quickest first set we've seen so far. No slipstream to help the Australian out. He runs very wide. They're going to malware it just about. Keeps it together now. Going downhill then. And now into the second gear. Short shifting up to fourth again. We're seeing a low short shifting here around some of these slower corners on the track. But the slow corners are few and far between us now. We head to the high speed middle section. Now into the iconic pull-on. Slightly downhill. Just a slight left on the entry, keeping it almost pinned all the way through the apex, and now preparing yourself for the Vanya complex into fourth gear then, trying to hook up that curve on the inside line then, running up to the outside curve then. It is wheel to wheel action around here of course in the race, but in qualifying you're going to see right line to white line, curve to curve as he now head through Stavlu and now towards the last sector of the lap then. Massive full throttle zone yet again. Now into Blanchimont, it is absolutely flat out. These new cars generate a phenomenal amount of downforce. Now to the Leonis driver, powering down into the bus stop again. You're hard on the brakes, stand on those brakes now. Now into third gear, Craig will defend the traction on exit, bit of oversteer from Amazing Air. He crosses, goes P3, just shy of the front row at the moment. So Amazing Air with no slipstream does go P3, but Young Power, first lap of the session, still the fastest. We're at the halfway point. He's just starting one now, but Young Power looking very impressive. But now in this middle stage, surely you're going to see a lot of drivers threatening that number one spot.
Fenny goes up into 4th as well for STV Academy, so good lap time there for the STV man out on track. Of course, he's part of the STV Academy is what I should say. Fenny in 4th, halfway through qualifying now. Harry Banks has just started up on a lap, and Deroa, that is going to get a real mouthful to say later on in the race.
Whoa.
Trust me, the CGT man is flying through as a yellow car through Sector 3 has spun.
Yeah, I'm trying to suss that out, actually. I think that might be... actually, I'm not quite sure who it was, but we'll still say. By the way, Venom did go up to the top of the timesheets there, a 140.6, a phenomenal lap time to be so early on in the session. And Young Power has had to bow down to that. We'll see if we're going to have more coming in then. As I think that was Andrea going up into 3rd position then. Just 3,000 shy of Young Power. But of course, there's a lot more to come in there. I think that's not really coming through. Behind that, we do actually have one of the white cars. I think that's Frederick. But he is backed off a flying lap then. So next up, just trying to find someone that is actually deep into a flyer and still going about it. I think that Young Power is flying along and he is a quarter of a second up. So he's looking to reclaim that top spot out there at the moment. His first sector was phenomenal, his second sector not quite as good, but we'll see if he can continue to push throughout the remainder of the flying lap. You're onto the brakes and use that curb on the end of the bus stop then. Really aggressive from Young Power, but as he just overcooked it there, now to the line, fastest time Venom holds it, but it's not quite enough. Just lost the bit of time in that last sector, a few hundredths, and a few hundredths is all he needed. Venom's just holds on to it. Young Power through everything at him, and so far these two, the class of the field, 2.5 tenths clear. Venom's on top, and Young Power ran him so close to that second run.
Yeah, Harry Banks as well, and validated, I think, coming out of Blanchimont. He was on a very good lap as well, so he would have been up towards the top end of the standing. Sorry if you can hear a bike, by the way, in the background on my end. Lewis leading, coming across the line. He still stays 18th and now prepares up for another lap out on track. But it's Venom's out on top, Young Power in 2nd, and Aroa in 3rd. Benny in 4th. I think we've got Benny on a lap time, actually, as he now comes through Blanchimont. A lot of cars in front of him, and as that, I wonder, his teammates in front of him, Venom's, who's now coming up in toward the final couple of corners. As we see now Benny, let's see what he can do. That is Venom's coming into pit lane, and in fact, Benny decides to come into the pit lane as well. I thought he was on a good lap, but obviously not, as we are nearly 2/3 the way through qualifying. Venom's out on top, Young Power in 2nd, and Enduro in 3rd. I think we saw Joey go up into 8th position there, and Yamaba goes 4th.
And yeah, the CDT drivers there really coming to the fore in this mid stage of the session. Currently locking out that second row and really charging hard up near the front of the field as it stands right now. But still Venom holds that pole position then. Those top two, as I mentioned, a little bit in a league of their own. Looks like we're pretty quiet at the moment. You mentioned Lewis going a lap. He's invalidated. Shapalili just invalidated. He was a full second up. Would have put him right in the mix. But unfortunately wasn't able to find that time. I think Ace though has just started the lap then. Heading out of the last source there. We'll see what the IFR driver is able to do, of course, there. Making a start here. NEML. Joey's got inside the top 10. We'll see if Ace can follow through. Venom's up top. We'll see what Ace can do then. Flying up to the first sector. We'll see what the I4 man can pull off now.
Lovely looking car, by the way, as well, and that blue and white colours, of course, that synonymise themselves with their own team brand, as we now see Ace coming through the first sector split. And let's see what his first sector actually was, and he's invalidated, I think, just coming through Lecom. 29.9 it was through the first sector. However, to me, it looks like he's either made a mistake or he's just invalidated on that lap time. I think it's the former rather than the latter, I think, there.
No, I can actually confirm on my end that he invalidated on the inside curb at Lecom. It was very harsh, actually. I didn't think it would be an invalidation myself, but it did unfortunately turn out to be that way. It's pretty quiet there on the track. Not too many cars at the moment out there, so I think we're just waiting for the final runs to come through. Of course, these drivers only really get time for 3 runs as it stands. Venom's holding down that pole position. TTG looking really strong so far then. 2 cars inside the top 5. So too with CGT as well. Those 2 teams really up there as it stands right now in our championship leaders so far. LR, well, they got Amazier or P6, but Harry Banks has not been able to put in a lap time so far. Currently up the back, needs to really pull it together under pressure, otherwise Leonis' lead could well be under threat here with so many teams having cars up the front.
Frederick's going to be one of the first to start off on a lap, I think. He hasn't yet, so I've just got rid of everything there. Get rid of the track map instead. Venom's out on top. Yeah, Young Power 2nd and Rowan 3rd. Very difficult to try and improve around this track as well, with 4 minutes less to go here in qualifying. Venom's, Young Power and Aroa currently your top three. Yamaba fourth, Benny in fifth, Amazing Hour in sixth, Bullet Boy, Fenny, Joey, Volakongan is your top 10 currently. Looking at the top half of the field, we've got 4 drivers between Bullet Boy and Volakongan, separated by 800ths of a second out on track, just over 800ths of a second out on track. So it comes to show how really tight it is around here. But it looks to me that gap between Amazing Hour and Bullet Boy might be there to last, because it's what, 2.5 tenths nearly, that gap, 6th to 7th. It's going to be very difficult, I think, for anybody below Bullet Boy to try and improve significantly, except possibly from Chapelelli.
Yeah, we saw, of course, Chapelelli was a full second up. Would have been in amongst that second row, I reckon, if he put together that last sector. Ultimately, can't quite come to be, but I reckon he's got a lot more potential. Frederick, as you mentioned, for TNR, first driver to kick off a lap then, and with limited time in the session, especially for these 3 drivers that haven't got times on the board just yet, the pressure is mounting. It's pretty much at an all-time high. You put it together now, or you're starting at the rear of the field then. Frederick will be first up, but the pressure on this man now is phenomenal then. And with Volakongan inside the top 10, Frederick's need to perform here over the line. We'll see what the TNR driver can do then, heading towards La Source for the final time potentially in this session.
Car 22, of course, Frederick coming through turn 1, gets very wide actually on the exit, coming through La Source. He's got a car just off to the right hand side, as now he will come down in towards Rouge and Radion. As we see see Frederick now coming up through turn 2 and 3, both in the same team. You can forgive me for that, as now Frederick is right on the back of a car just in front of him. I think that's his teammate, in fact, Volakongan, who's getting a bit of slipstream running down the straight, as now Frederick will go side by side with him. And now through the first sector split, Frederick looking not too bad through the first sector, 30.2 through the first sector. It's not that quick. I think he got caught on that outside curb, and it looks like actually he's having a right moment out on track here. Looks like he's still going. Another lock up down in towards Bruxelles, and then in towards X corner. This is really not looking like a good lap. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to back off this, to be honest.
Well, he's already invalidated, I can already confirm on my end, so I'm not exactly sure why he still seems to be pushing with the engine mode. He does have time, though, to get another lap on the board then, and there's still going to be a lot of other drivers looking to step up to that plate as we now reach the final seconds as they draw nearer then. And Benny, surprises, goes to the top, and now we have a TTG 1-2. What a phenomenal showing for both these drivers then, right up the top of the field. Young Power is still going to look to challenge. He's invalidated though. Venom's still out there then. So TTG now have come to the fore. They are now flying out there on the circuit. We'll see if anyone else can step up to that plate then. Arturo is in that last section now. He was going pretty strongly, going throughout that middle sector, winning a really nice middle sector, but we'll see if he can do that, because he's still got about 4 tenths to find. He wants that pole position, still needs a bit more from this flash again. How's the exit? It looks pretty decent, bit of a scrub for the rear tires to the line. Arturo goes up to P3 and just shy of even P2. That is incredibly tight and that second through 4th region of the field, but we have a lot more lap times to come in here to close off this session, James.
Amazing now with 43 flat through the middle sector, looking very quick as well. Let's see how the LR man is going to get on. We've got Venoms on the lap time coming through the middle sector as well. But Amazing Hour now in toward the bus stop chicane for the final time on his lap with 30 seconds left to go. Benny Venom. Oh, and actually Amazing Power. Who was that? Well, that was one of the STV guys, I think. Fenny possibly on an out lap. Just about gets out the way. Young Power. Amazing Hour, sorry, goes into 5th, and he just weaves in front of him. He is not a happy boy out on track with that. Venom's now coming through the middle sector, and he is purple. 29.5 in the first sector, 43 flat, so it is adding up for Venoms. Let's see what the Greek man can do, who, of course, shocked everyone by going 2nd in TTML Division 1 last night in qualifying. Lewis is retired from the session for CPI, as now Venoms comes out the final corner. Let's see what he could do. Can he get pole position? Can he nick it off his own teammate? Comes across the line. He does! A 140.469. A great lap there from Venoms. Has there any response though from him behind? I think Andrew is off the lap time. He gets out the way. Young Power has invalidated again. Amazing Hour is off on a lap, I think. Will has just improved up into 7th. Bullet Boy is through Bruxelles. Just looking through, Joey is already finished. Volakongan then is on a lap in the TNR car. Let's see what he can do. And Chapelelli coming through Bruxelles as well. So that might be the one to watch, possibly Chapelelli further down the field, along with Harry Banks, as Volakongan now comes through. That is a car just in front of him out on track, as now he runs in towards the bus stop chicane for the final time. Let's see what the Norwegian can do. Venoms, Benny currently on top with Anderoa in 3rd. Is that going to remain as it is? Volakongan across the line. He still remains in 11th though, and I think he improved slightly there as Yamaba goes up into 5th. A good lap there from Yamaba. Schiaparelli in the middle sector, not sure what he's adding up to. Harry Banks, I think, is further on track as he now comes into the bus stop chicane. So Harry Banks coming to the bus stop chicane. Let's see what he can do. Comes across the line. And he goes 7th, just in behind his teammate and mate now. Well, let's see what Schiaparelli's doing though out on track. As we now try and find him, Jorgen Moe goes up into 5th, so good lap time. Bonheim up to 8th position, in fact, at 41.2 is now Schiaparelli. Comes out the final couple of corners. Is he flying on this lap time? Now comes across the line, and he goes 9th at 41.2. That then, I think, is the end of qualifying with the Mason Hour and Young Power down on the lap times. Venom's out on top, Benny in 2nd, and Anderoa in 3rd. TTG 1-2, not being biased at all with this top 2 whatsoever.
But that's all seriousness. That is a phenomenal showing for both of those drivers, and they have now really stepped up to the plate for tonight. TTG have not had the easiest season. They're currently tied for 4th in the standings. I'm seeing some very odd AI activity down there at the start-finish line, as we've become accustomed to, I think, in Codemasters games. But yes, that was incredible from TTG, and they could maybe establish themselves, even though they're down currently 5th in the standings. They're not far off of even P2, and if they can sustain this form to the race, that of course is the living question all these drivers' heads. But that was a phenomenal showing for both Venoms and Benny. We'll see if they can convert this, because there's going to be an awful lot of pressure on their shoulders heading into the race in just a few minutes' time.
Well, TTG have got a 1-2, 69 hundredths of a second separating them. It's Venoms from Benny, 1st and 2nd. Anderoa in 3rd with Young Power in 4th. Yamaba in 5th. A good showing from CTT as well, 3rd and 5th on the grid. Matenauer and Harry. Matenauer will be ruining his luck on the final corner with Fenny getting in the way of him. Matenauer then 6th. Harry Banks in 7th. Jorge Moe in 8th. With Schiaparelli in 9th. Will rounding off the top 10. Good showing there. 8.5 tenths off Venoms. With Ace in 11th. Bullet Boy in 12th. Fenny in 13th. Joey in 14th. Bulakongan in 15th. Ruben 16th. Taddeo in 17th. Josu in 18th. Lewis and Frederick not getting in any lap times at all. That is the end of qualifying. I'm looking at some of the comments. Plenty of support from the guys. Yosu getting a lot of support for the SCV Academy team. He was about a second off the guy just ahead of him out on track in 17th. But a really good showing from everyone out on track. McCrew complaining about the S2V guy as well. It's pretty fair. There's some choice comments coming in the comment section there. And there's more Spanish people here than English, which is not that great. Hola.
Yeah, well, my Spanish goes about as far as donde está la biblioteca, but we'll...
And that means for all of our English viewers?
Where is the library?
The only thing that everyone's going to be reading up on now is the track map in question. 7 kilometres, of course, filling out this circuit around the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. 22 laps, C1, C2, C3. That is the softs, mediums, and the hard compound tyres. And what we can confirm for you as well, beautiful, bright skies, sunshine, a lot of hot weather here in Spa, which is fantastic to see. And it's going to be fantastic to have a look at seeing how all these guys are going to unfold out on track. But to our Spanish viewers, hola. To our English viewers, hello. You're about to tune in first for EML League, Premier League. Here, I'm messing up my words. Formation laps now beginning.
I think we need to get out of this rut, James. This hasn't been a great stretch for us. Looking more to what we have in front of us then. Just looking at some of the tyre choices of the drivers, it's very intriguing to see, of course, because at a track where tyre degradation is relatively low, of course, we run with the hardest set of tyres available to us for this round of the championship. But very interestingly enough, we've got Bullet Boy, Volakogan, and Lewis all opting for those soft tyres, but otherwise you've got Ace, Fenny, Joey, Ruben, Tadeo, Josu, and Frederick all going for the medium tyres, interestingly enough. So we've got an overwhelming majority, I'd say, going for that alternate strategy. And it's very intriguing around here, James, because the soft tyres really aren't bad. They last for a decent amount, so interesting to see so many people going for that alternate strategy. And maybe if they get maybe a well-timed burst on a safety car, who knows? But they're looking to maybe fight back in the end of the race, so I'm thinking long-term. But I wasn't expecting so many people to go for the alternate strategy. That's a very intriguing strategic development we have ahead of this Belgian Grand Prix.
It is indeed, and I think in terms of the soft compound tyre, it's something like 5% a lap, 6% sometimes a lap, around here that the tyres go off on. So when you get to around lap 5, lap 6 here on this first stint, these guys, of course, in the top 10 qualifying are set us off, but the likes of Bullet Boy, Bolokongan and Lewis further down, they're going to be hoping that their tyres are in a fresher condition going forward into the race, so that they can capitalise on going for a one-stop strategy onto a set of mediums towards the end of the race. So it is going to be fascinating in that regard. It's also going to be fascinating in that regard, as I'm going to put on the track map as I've been requested there. There is the track map in question. It looks like a dinosaur, is all I'm going to say if you're not familiar with Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. I always think of it as the T-Rex of Formula 1. There we are. That's the end of my dinosaur puns, I promise.
I've never actually seen that. That's a very intriguing way of taking on this, of course, fantastic track that's going to be one to watch. One thing to look out for on this start is that you don't necessarily want to be leading after last horse, because the slipstream down into Les Combes is absolutely staggering. So I think for TTG it's fantastic they have a 1-2. Benham's can lead off the line, Bennett can back up from behind, doesn't need to fight it too hard, and these guys can really control the start, but the guys behind are going to have slipstream from behind as well, closing up to him. There's going to be pressure on these two TTG drivers. We've got to see if they can hold on for the first lap and try and convert that for the remainder of this 22 lap, 50% distance Belgian Grand Prix.
See the final cars coming around the bus stop chicane as well. We're not going to go in towards top 3 tonight. I'm going to spare Dan the thought of trying to predict the top 3 with some of the new teams now joining us. But Venom's Benny, there is the run down towards turn 1 at La Source. Lap 6 to 8 on a set of hard compounder tyres. 2 stop, lap 6 to 8, and then lap 13 to 15, I think that was, out on track. But now we are about to get going. The 5 red lights then are about to come on here in EML Premier for round 7 of the championship. And it's lights out and away we go. Good start by Venoms, good start by Benny. A little bit of a graphic switch to the left-hand side. Yamaba is going to try and go side-by-side with Anderoa. But great start by Venoms and Benny. And they lead in towards turn 1. It's 3 wide and behind with Anderoa. Young Power trying to go around the outside of both the CGT guys. He gets cut off at the pass as he now runs down in towards Rouge and Radion. Just in behind the 2 CGT guys. He's actually going to go down the inside. There's a bit of contact nearly. He's going to spin the car. Surely recovers it well, Young Power. He loses the position to Amazing Hour. And Amazing Hour is now through as his contact further down the field. I think Will has spun down in the background in towards a Rouge and then Radion, but it's Venoms who leads, Benny in second and Anderoa in third. A very good start by everyone, but Young Power trying to go for the move up the hill and towards Rouge and Radion, really not liking them as Schiaparelli's right on the back of Harry, and Schiaparelli has got a very good start as long with Bullet Boy's hook in Mur, just nearly goes into the back of Schiaparelli, but Bullet Boy now capitalises, he's through and he's up into ninth.
Yeah, chaotic start here at Spa. We saw a lot of back and forth in that midfield. Cars trying to go side by side up Radio, and I do not envy that position. My, oh my. But the TTG guys, they had no worries at all. They pulled well clear off the front of the field, and so far, it's 4 teams inside the top 8 then. TTG, CDG, LR and also FRL, they're really dominating those front few positions. They've got away very, very strongly here so far, and so it's up to the other teams to try and make up for him. Venoms leads and Bennett going with him. You can see these guys, they're relatively clear up in the front of the order. We've got more battling for the dead. I think that Frederick has gone off there out of Campbell's corner, emerging, and on those mediums you cannot be affording to lose too much ground. That's going to send him back massively in the race. We saw Will going over the top of Radion as well, and so he's got a lot of room to recover. As it stands right now, is up the road. We got Lewis and Ruben. Lewis recovered from the start, is charging through up into what will be 14th place, I believe. Not exactly entirely sure with the graphics. Still bugging out on us a little bit there, but one thing we can be certain of is that TTG 1-2 still holding on. Benham's leads, Benny going with him, and these two weren't even troubled at the start. The Customs guys close behind and trying to track them down, but so far that top two, they got off the line cleanly, managed to keep hold of that lead with any slipstream tactics. They lead the way, dominating stuff at the front. The question is, can he hold on to it with their nearest championship rivals, nearest race rivals, hunting them down all the time? We'll see if they can try and get up to it, but so far TTG running strongly up the front. The question is though, can they sustain that position there on lap 2?
There was a yellow flag in Sector 1 as well. I think Frederick had spun again. Bolokongan is coming into the pit lane after picking up a little bit of damage. He switches onto the set of mediums. But Venoms and Benny getting away. I was about to say the gap was 1.2 seconds. It's now not. It's being halved in gap by Anderoa. Anderoa looks like he's maintaining those ties in better effect at this stage in the race. Yamaba in 4th, Amazing Hour in 5th, Young Power in 6th. And Young Power trying to get back onto the back of Amazing Hour. And look at the gap between them. It is about 5-6 cents of a second, I would say, out on track. The graphics have glitched. We are now now on lap 2 out of 22. There we go. There's the proper graphics now showing as Venoms leads Benny in second and Aroa in third. Looking at everyone in terms of damage and in terms of tyre wear, Kongan hasn't got any tyre wear currently. He's just came out of the pit lane, of course. Venoms has got 28% already on that front left, and Benny in behind looking quite good in terms of his tyre wear as the task system appears to have spawned out on me, to be honest, out on track. But Venoms leading Benny in second. I think Frederick is round once again, so TNR having an absolute disaster early on.
Yeah, they're having a miserable time of it out there on the road as it stands. They're going to really need to try and turn this around, but it doesn't look too encouraging so far early on. We now have DRS enabled, and so this is where the real fun begins then. Heading down the Kemmel Straight, you could be seeing a lot of swapping and changing going down there, of course. DRS straights can also build up then. Very tight race at the moment then. DRS straight amongst the top 14 as it stands. The two TTG guys running nicely up at the front of the race, and so far they're looking pretty decent on tyre wear, as you said. But yeah, Venom's looking a little bit more edgy on that. He's got to make sure he's holding on to those tires. He's got battles further down the field. Their Billow Boys lining up Chappellilly. That one doesn't quite come through Chappellilly. They're locking it all up. Going into Lake Cobb, running away to Billow Boy emerges side by side to the inside line. He's going to sweep through Mama there. Get up into that 8th position, eventually spinning up that 14 formation at the front. Billowboy moving through, but that mistake from Chappellilly has opened up the race a little bit. Billowboy needs a big lap here to get himself within that range of high banks in front. The gap 1.1, just hovering just over a second as it stands. He's going to work his way back into that one right now. Further up the field that we're seeing, Amazing Hour really threatening Yamava, so that's a TDG from CGT formation in the front. Amazing Hour is trying to crack that, of course. He's had such good form in the last few races. Will be determined with 2 straight race wins to continue that charge. So far, TDG look comfortable up the front, and these guys settling into their race, settling in to managing their tires. The two TDG guys holding it on there, but Adero looks a bit threatening, has a bit more battery to use as well than Benny in front. So while TTG lead the way, it's still very much under threat. There's still a trade, pretty much down to 14th here for the race lead.
Yeah, it's fantastic to see. There's more damage, by the way, out on track. Ace and Fenny have got 6% on both front left and front right end plates. 19% for Will on his right end plate as well, out on track. Lap 4 out of 22. A long DRS train, as you say, down into 14th. Lewis at the back of that on a set of soft compounded tyres. As we see Bullet Boy set the new fastest lap of the race. One more with the leader, Venoms, leading the way down in towards Rouge and Radion through turns 2 and 3. Benny, I would be honest, I think he'll try and get past him this lap around because he looks quicker than Venom's ahead of him. He has got fresher tyres than Venom's ahead of him. But looking at that, what does the commentator know? Because he's not even closing up on the run up towards the com. And, yeah, what does the commentator know? Venom's leading, Venom in second, Anderoa in third, Yamaba in fourth. Amazing Hour currently filling out in fifth. Young Power has recovered well after that slight mistake on that one. He's still in sixth. Harry Banks there in seventh, and Bullet Boy now has split that top 8, of course, with FRL being in 8th in Chappellilly. Bullet Boy now 8th out on track. Venom's leading now, Benny in second, Anderoa in third. In terms of air temperature, 21 degrees. It is cloudy out on track, 30 degrees for the guys on track temperature as well. So these tyres are really going to feel the effects around this point in the race, how you would imagine.
Yeah, certainly. As for Venoms, he's starting to peak at around 40% now in all tyres, and that's going to come back to haunt him later on. Most of the drivers around seem to be that way, although Benny looks particularly good, and so he might, as you mentioned, be the one maybe to lead this out further down the line. Both the CGT guys are not showing up for me. Their tires are still in perfect mint condition for me on TAS. I'm not sure if you're seeing the same there, James, but certainly a little bit of a bug from my end and for our end. It looks like, in general, we're to the end of the 4th lap now. And it looks like Anderoa, yeah, he ran very deep then, almost hit the back of Benny. These guys do not want to come together. Bullet Boy now disconnecting from the session and losing places. Oh no! Bullet Boy, he looked so good actually. His pace looked really strong, but now dropping back. Oh, you have to feel for Bullet Boy. He made a really nice start to this race, but now well down the field. Hopefully he can get back in sometime soon, but that's really going to hold him back down in this early part of the race. Then just over 4 laps into the way, folks, then, and still the order up the front remains relatively unchanged then. As it stands, we're going to see if there's maybe any moves, any swamps further down the order then. Chappellilly has been detached from the train now. We got Jorgen Moon now threatening him, going towards Lake Cobb, inside or outside. It's going to be outside. Is he going to be brave on the brakes? They're running right around. They make a bit of wheel-to-wheel contact off the road because Jorgen Moon round goes Chappellilly into the wall and out. all together. They came together, wheel to wheel, and a full safety car deployed. There's Shapley in the wall. FRL really come undone there. A car out, Shapley. I think it was the case of the contact model there. Shapley rounded out. Really unfortunate. He's the running here. FRL have suffered a massive blow now today.
Such a shame for Schiaparelli. He showed good pace as well. He was just defending from Jorge Mir in the position. Jorge, it looked like, moved off to the right-hand side to try and go round. He didn't leave enough room, Schiaparelli. Simple as that. They both made contact. Schiaparelli, unfortunately, with the slowest speed crash I think I've ever seen around this track, he is unfortunately out of the race, and his bad luck really does continue after, of course, picking up the win out on track and dropping down to 6th last night in TTML Division 1. But what does that do for these guys on a set of soft compounded tyres? You would imagine that some of these guys may stay out, some of these guys may come in, but Venom's out on top, Benny in second, and Aroa in third, as we do have that full safety car period now in force. Frederick has not been lapped yet. He is still going out on track down there in 19th position with Schiaparelli. His Bullet Boy has managed to rejoin. The top two are in, and Benny is going to risk going for a double stack with Venoms.
Well, don't forget as well, I believe the pit boxes are completely random here, so anyone can get held up here, and it is an incredibly busy pit lane. The majority of the field are in. That promotes the two of our guys to 1 and 2 in the race. Have you seen any double stacking there, James?
Yeah, Yamaba's been held up by Benny coming into the pit lane. That is such a shame. Yamaba, who was riding behind Anderoa, he was in 4th position. He's now been held up, and look who's just came ahead of him. Lewis has just came ahead of him out on track as well. There was a double stack further up the field. I think amazing now is Harvey Banks, is nearly coming out in Talio's car. The Yamaba coming out in 10th position now out on track. He has been cost hugely by that double stack.
That is absolutely remarkable, no other word for it then. Lewis was running at the back of the train, Yamama right up near the front, and they are now swap positions in the order. That is quite unlikely. The order's been shaken up the front too. Venoms has been held up there in that pit lane, and now he has dropped back there. So Benny promoted to the race lead. Adero now in that net P2 as it stands. Of course, the 2 RFR drivers now leading the way, going ambitious, going bold, but they have to on that medium strategy. They're going to have to try and stretch that out. But Benny in behind him. Now Aderoa has a better one at it, and Young Power looking to try and rescue a lot of points for FRL. There is so much pressure on this man's shoulders now, but he does have a penalty to his name, a 5-second stop and go penalty as well. I'm not sure if that was for contact or for speeding. I didn't quite clock the reason for that, but as it stands right now, currently down there in 5th place, he's going to have to try and work his way through, get gaps to some of the drivers behind him. Assuming he doesn't pit, he's not going to be able to serve that, so that's just going to be added to his race time, so he's going to have to try and work it from there. But Benny now leading the way. He did look like he had better tyre management though, and more pace out the TTG drivers, and they're still running up the front, and overall they've gained as a whole, but the order's been dramatically shaken up here. When we get back to racing, it's going to be such an intriguing prospect there. Yui and Ace are now up the front, and IF4 really getting some screen time up at the front there, really getting that chance to shine, but Yui leads the race. The question is, when will he go then? Because the thing about Spa is that essentially it's third sector when these guys will have the option to get going. It's almost entirely full throttle. So the options are there, but when do you think Yui will go? When he gets us underway, probably on the next lap then. Get the racing back underway, head to the bus stop chicane. Do you think he's going to go early, or do you think he's going to go late, James?
I think he'll go late because he'll try and slingshot Ace down in towards turn 1 at La Source. You would imagine that Joey is going to try and go just going into the dip in towards the bus stop chicane. He'll speed the pack up from there, and that's where I think he'll go, and then give a good slingshot to Ace if he reacts quick enough. We are on lap 7 out of 22. Safety car is now out on track, and Joey leading the way from Ace in second, Benny in third, and Aroa in fourth. Young Power really got a jump on Venoms. I think Venoms got held up in the pit lane by cars coming past, as opposed. Young Power, I can't confirm, picked up a 5-second penalty for speed into the pit lane. Jorge Mir has picked up a 3-second time, I believe, for multiple warnings out on track, which means he's corner cut quite a few times out on track. But Joey leading the way, Ace in second, Benny in third. Look at that lovely shot running down the hill and towards the Rouge and Radion there with Joey and Ace. Benny, Aroa and Young Power. We're about to get going. Sit tight, get the popcorn at the ready. We are only 1/3 distance pretty much through the race now, and it's going to be fascinating to see how this is all going to unfold around a 7-kilometre circuit of the Circuit of Spa-Francorchamps. You have got the best seats in the house.
There is no doubt about that, and certainly we must be eagerly anticipating getting back to that green flag racing. So Joey going away. Of course, the benefit that both these guys has is that they have that ability, assuming they're in a party together, to coordinate this restart, and they can maybe just look to get a jump on Benny behind. Of course, they're not exactly racing these guys. Well, they are on track, but they are guaranteed to have to make a pit stop. The same cannot be said for all of these guys behind them. And so they're certainly going to have to be on their A game, making sure they're keeping in front for as long as possible. The field maybe spreading out could benefit them. And one thing to point out as well, some of the guys lower down the field have opted to go for the hards, a bit more safer bet, whereas the guys up the front have gone for the more risky option of going for the mediums. So I think the mediums will still be fine to get to the checkered flag, but they're going to have to be watching out for that, making sure they are just keeping it clean. They got fresh tyres on, and the medium tyres of Joey and Ace around about 25% wear underneath them. So we'll see what they do. We'll see how much grit they can hold. But you sense that Benny's going to be on the offensive, and this is going to be really key here. If Benny can work his way past these two IFR drivers quickly up at the front, then he could really get some gaps. The safety car in that slap, and Adero and the rest going to have to go with the net race leader there. If they allow a gap to open up there, if he can get the IFR guys in between, it can really change the course of this race. Is now amazing how unusual I think have come together. They've both got penalties.
They have got penalties. They collided just in the background of shot. Joey has slowed the pace up slow enough for them to Constantine up in behind. No damage, I don't think, on both of the cars from my visuals anyways, as we see on the task system as well in terms of the damage. I don't think they picked up any damage. It remains to be seen, but Joey is back up to pack it up. The safety car is already coming into the pit lane, and look at where Joey is. He is going to not do what I said like a lap ago and go into the dip into the bus stop chicane. He'll probably go around about now, and in fact I think he has got about now. There's been a spinner actually in the background. That's Bullet Boy that's been sent round, and he's way off track. Goodness me, it's like the Jaguar in 2000 who crashed there, Bullet Boy. He's got right side end plate damage as well. Joey has backed up the pack so much. It is just causing a lot of issues out on track in behind, and Joey is still not going. He's still waiting to go, and he's going to go around the final corner, isn't he? Joey now out the final corner. The AFR tactics, I'm not sure what they are. Harvey Banks has had a collision with Taddeo back in the background as well. We are about to get underway, but this is an absolute shocking restart from Joey and from Ace. IFR should be disappointed, and look at Benny. He's down the inside line, in towards the source, and it's a massive crash in behind Young Power and Yosu, I think, coming together.
Yeah, both cars spearing off to the side of the road. Then Amazing Hour got, Young Power got tapped around. What on earth was that restart then? And now Venom's coming forward then. Ace dropping back. Yosu now, I think he's got some damage down there. That gets a penalty to his name. He's going to play fall back. I think he has actually faith, but he's coming under immense pressure then. We got to Dale, and Highbacks going either side down the cable string, going to move through up the road as well. Venom's getting alongside his teammates, going to back out of that one then as Amazing Hour looking to the inside of Banderola. That one doesn't quite come through then. And to Dale going at it with Harry Banks now. And that midfield is his. I think it's Yosu off then. As the Amazing Hour dropping back, then he's got Yamama side by side with Yosu now to the back of the field. Was well out the road in those older medium tires. Disaster strikes. What a chaotic restart, James. There was front legs flying, cars everywhere. The R5 guys running up to the line, and it caused absolute manic mayhem behind.
Young Power right side end plate damage 70%, Amazing Hour 83% on that right side end plate damage, and there is the visual just to confirm that with Harry Banks. He's also got damage, and that hasn't been picked up, and so is Amazing Hour. There is Amazing Hour and Fenny right on the back as well, but Joey leading the way, Benny in second, Venoms in third. One of the most shocking restarts, I've got to be honest, of a safety car I've ever seen on this game. Joey leading the way from Benny in second, Venoms in third. Plenty of penalties. The stewards are going to be one busy lot here tonight as Benny tries to chase down Joey out in front, and the Dane is going to come under pressure from Benny in behind. He got through on his teammates as well, so Venom's still there in third. Ace now holding up the pack in behind. The top three, I think, will begin to get away, but when you've got an IFR man who absolutely shoddily ran off the start-finish line and now runs side by side, it could be three wide running down in towards the source, and I don't think Benny is going to go for the move. I think wait for the DRS and try and go for the move, to be honest.
Well, he's going to have that slipstream all the way down here, so let's see if he can pull this up. Venom's behind will be to follow through as well. Then that's going to be a real ascendancy here for Team TTG. Look at them both lined up as the Venom actually running way down the radio, and they don't drive it. Now Benny gets over alongside Joey looking for the race lead, running parallel down the long top cable straight then, up to high speed. We'll see if they're going to go wheel to the braking zone. Then the inside lane sailed by Joey Briggs very, very late. Runs out wide. Benny gets back underneath then, looking to the outside for Malmedy. Can he sweep around the outside for the lead? Yes, he can! Benny goes around to that Venom to take advantage on the inside lane, breaking late again. And TTG move through. Brilliant from both of them. And these two drivers have been on it so far tonight. They have been absolutely flying through. Joey couldn't hold on back. That was brilliant from Benny. Venom's taking full advantage. TTG back to the front of the grid. They've looked a cut above so far tonight. With over half the race to go though, can they hold on to this place?
They've been the masters of their work, honestly, out on track, and it's so great to see two moves like that being pulled off. One around the outside through the exit of Lacombe, and on the inside of the curb in towards Lacombe, and Venom's then getting down the inside in towards Bruxelles, getting the move done, and TTG now first and second. There's yellow flag in sector 2 and 3. I think Lewis has been turned around, and Lewis is out of the race, and he's crashed coming through the Fagnier section out on track as well. I'm not sure if that'll warrant a safety car or a VSC, but Benny out on top, Venom's in second, Joey in third. What is this going to do to the field if a VSC is deployed? I think we would have had something out by now, to be honest, but you know what Codemasters is like. There's a spinner nearly out the background, and a rower getting very sideways, and now runs side by side with Harry Banks, running down in towards the source at turn 1. Harry Banks now trying to launch down the inside line, goes the Brit on the Spaniard. Can he get the move done? Yes, he can. Harry Banks is through. He's into 6th position, and now he's going to try and break the toe of Van der Rohe in behind. He's more than a second nearly off Yamaba, who's right on the back of Ace, and Venom's right on the back of Benny. The two TTG boys are now going to fight for the race lead, and they've probably been instructed to do this as well. The Venoms is through on Benny, and Ace is going to be under attack now from Yamaba. Fenny is getting past on Tadeo. A lot of action going up and down the field. Yamaba clean sailing down the inside of Ace, and also in behind Van der Rohe is Young Power has retired out in the kennel straight. I wonder if there was contact with another driver, maybe Will possibly involved in that, but Venom's leading, Benny second, Joey in third, and Young Power either crashing out of for some reason, or he's got in contact with another driver down the Kemmel Straight, albeit as well.
Yeah, that's a very old one, and again for the second time, but just under a line, the yellow flag's clear, and both FRL drivers out of the way, and one TBI driver as well, gone in the form of Lewis. So those two teams have had a horror show today. They're out with a penalty, and that is the first real sign of weakness from Team TTG, and it's Yamava that really needs to get it right, and he's chasing down Joey out on track, who's now with older tires struggling to hang with these top two and dropping back then. So TTG still looking comfortable there, but they got to keep pressing and extending that advantage with Battle Cell going on behind them. We've got Harry B now chasing down Ace out there on the road, then looking up to get up into that top 5, and of course with Amazing Hour going off a few laps ago, it is adamant that he picks up points there to sustain that Leonis advantage, but so far that championship loop looks like being cut. Venom's fastest lap, he is flying along very nicely up at the front. Now he just needs to keep this going. Benny going with him at the moment. Joey's still holding that DRS, and he needs to defend from the charging him up behind. For Customs team, looks like he's not quite going to be able to get up to him down the straight. He is burning a lot of his battery to try and do so and close that 410 advantage. The I4 driver has in front of him, but I don't think the manoeuvre is quite going to come to fruition. Looks like it's going to stay pretty stable down the straight. Everyone's slowing in. TTG up the front. Joey doing really well actually to hang on these older tires, and he's frustrating Yamava, and so far TTG able to sustain that lead. That DRS beginning to open up now. Venom's leads with that penalty though is going to hold it back. Benny going with him. Yamava's got a chance of spinning this formation if he gets past Joey quickly.
Yeah, he should try and get past Joey quickly as well, because Joey in front has got a penalty, and Yamaba will be hoping to try and get onto the back, and now runs down the inside, possibly in towards Puon. Never, ever go for a move down here. You are committing yourself if you want to try and go down the inside. There we are, halfway through now the race as we come through Puon. Harry Banks is right on the back of Ace as well. He'll be looking to try and go down the inside line and try and get retribution from Ace, now picking up damage on that safety car restart. Venom's leading the way from Benny in second, Joey in third, Yamava in fourth, Ace in fifth, Harry Banks in sixth. The one man that has really come under the radar, I think, in this race so far is Fenny. On a set of hard compounded tyres in 9th position. We're about to see Harry Banks, though, go for the position down the inside and towards Blanchimont. This is impossible to get the move done. I've just cursed him there. He's got the move done down the inside line. And now Ace is going to try and fight back, and they nearly make contact into the bus stop chicane. Got to get the car stopped. Ace trying to go around the outside, nearly on Yamaba. They're still side by side. Ace is really wanting this, but I think it's only going to go one way, and it has only gone one way. And Harry Banks is now now through, and he's up into 5th position. Ace put up a really good fight. Frederick is round coming through Puon, I think, as well. But Andrew now on the back of Ace. Ace is getting swamped by all the teams around him.
Yeah, but he's certainly not willing to let them all go, and this is what he needs to hold these guys back as long as possible to give him a chance. Further down the line in the race, now Yamama has finally got Joey all lined up to the cable straight. He's going to be forced to the outside line, but the DRS is too much. Through goes Yamama into the podium and moving up in the order now. We've still got battles further down in the field then. We have Jorge Muro on the rear wing of Anderoa. Can't quite get through. You can see Ace on the road then, getting a little bit offline, and Anderoa looking to try and take advantage. He lost out of that pit lane, but he's still in with a chance of some really good points here for CGT. He is right in the mix here and has Ace all lined up within this middle section overtaking. Very, very difficult as you entered into Puon. You cannot overtake through there. It is as simple as that. But Joey holding back Yamama has really outbid him. So even with that penalty, he's potentially looking at maybe even solidifying that second place with Benny with him. So Yamama has got a real fight on his hands to try and stay within that range. Ben's pretty much exactly 3 seconds ahead. So Yamama needs some serious pace here, needs to really push forward, try and get within that range and make sure he's at least benefiting from Benny's penalty, because at the moment Benham's only losing out to his teammates. So TTG at the moment still looking really solid up at the front of the race.
TTG have been always so consistent. The last 3 races have proved that, and now Yamaba really needs to find that pace from absolutely somewhere out on track. Jorge right on the back of Van der Rohe. The 2 Spaniards are better do battle up in towards the bus stop chicane. A little bit of format as well from Young Power. He said he was contacted in the back by somebody running down the Camel Straight. So obviously that is something that's going to get investigated by the stewards. Look at Fenny though, on the back of Jorge. He's now right on the back. He's still on the back of Jorge Mur. I feel so sorry for him at this stage because he's on this set of hard compound of tyres. He will be getting to the end of the race on those compound of tyres. Unsure about how the mediums are going to get towards the end of the race. They possibly will, I think. But Fenny on a set of hard could be landing himself in a really good position as he now comes up the hill through a Rouge and Radion. Anderoa trying to close up on Ace just in front of him out on track as well. Jorge closing in on Anderoa. Anderoa's not got any response to Ace in behind, and they all are going to fall into line running in towards the com. Still Ace 6th, Anderoa 7th, Jorge in 8th, and Fenny in 9th as Vola Kongan coming into contention in this race. Goes around the outside on Ruben, tries to get the move done, gets squeezed onto the curb, but Ruben hangs on to the position. Fair enough, fair play. I don't think Vola Kongan was going to get around the outside of that anyways. Ruben still stays in 11th, and FFC coming under the radar a bit. They're beginning to get into it as well.
Yeah, really fighting away in that midfield and doing some great stuff in there. Yui now with a penalty and continuing to fall back into the clutches of Jaime behind it. And isn't it mid-strain now? Building up behind these R4 drivers then. All of a sudden Yui beginning to draw back and it's allowing these top 3 now to pull clear up at the front of the race. But now Joey's going to be under pressure. Those tires have taken a real beating now, getting up towards 60% wear now. He is really going to be starting to push the punctures soon. He's going to be in soon. But now Jaime looks to take advantage early then and try and stay within range of that top 3 that continues to move up away in this race. And Poole clears the stands there. Frederick now with a penalty. He's had a nightmare race so far, but involved in Incident Central. I think that was Jorge Moore looking at Andrew, trying to get a run out of the bus stop again. He is very, very close to trying to pull off a manoeuvre then. Going down the straight then, looking for that manoeuvre. Looks to the inside. He's going to dive into a sauce. Can he get it stopped and turned in? Yes, he can. But he can't quite follow through. He really went for that one, and ultimately, it wasn't quite enough. But he went for it, fully committed. Ultimately, didn't quite come through though. Up the road to Harry B. He's got a really good run at Joey there. Can he get it done this time then? Joey has held these guys back for so long. Now Harry B. they claim the 4th place then. Gonna go to the outside line. And again, DRS will come out on top. And that is going to carry High B through now. Occupy P4 now on the track. Then Andrew closing down on East End. He's going to watch out for your game behind him as Volk Hogan. Second time of asking. This time gets through on Ruben and up into 11th place. Those hard tires. But I think that Fenny is the driver to really watch in his hard tires because he's stuck with that strain all the way throughout. Of course, we'll have some slightly fresher tires, a bit less tire wear out there. And the last few laps, if he's been able to keep out these guys already by now, he can really do damage later on. He's still penalty free. Fenny with a really good chance. The question is, can he make these overtakes work as these tires continue to come into the road?
It's going to be very interesting, I think, to see Venom's leading the way, Benny in second on board with Joey's on 13 lap all mediums. Ace on 13 mediums, they're going to have to come into the pit anyways, otherwise they'll get disqualified from this race. And by the way, Ace is still continuing on with that damage, so I would probably prioritise the damage as opposed to the car in front. So Ace, I think, will be in before Joey out on track, as Fenny tries to close in on the back of Jorge Mir in behind, but these guys are just stuck in a bit of a DRS trend. Yamaba's trying to get a little bit closer. It was 2.6 seconds, now whittled down to 2.4. Joey then coming through bus stop. I wonder if we're going to see either of them into the pit lane. As I predicted, the first prediction I've got right all night, Ace is into the pit lane, nearly spins coming into the pit lane as well, tries to attack Ruben, round the outside, oh, there's contact, and he doesn't leave him any room at all. Ruben has spun, Ace now dropping down the field with him being in the pit lane, and Ruben spun by Will try to go around the outside line. Think, to be honest, it was a little bit uncharacteristic to try and go around the outside, but Will in 11th. Ruben now all the way down in 12th, as Ace is going to come into the pit lane pretty much side by side with him, I think.
Yeah, he's going to emerge pretty much guaranteed to come level on the exit, but of course he will have that little bit more tyre grip to play with now with fresh soft tyres. Oh, I was watching. Habano's in 5th place. Anderon nearly ran straight clean into the back of Joey, was just about able to keep it alive, and of course Joey will probably be out of the way after this lap, following his teammate, shadowing him on the strategies, and now Anderon can get through, but the top 4 have really established themselves, really pulled clear, and continue to dominate up at the front of the race. Update on the race leader, still Venom's holding firm at the front of the race. Yamava is actually matching these guys on pace. I've not seen the gap fluctuate at all since the last time we checked in on them. But Yamava at the moment is doing just about enough to keep hold of that second place. But there's literally only a 10 minute. And what you see for the back of James is that Ace trying to get tight Ruben into put on and get through on the inside line.
I think Ruben just let him through, to be honest. That was very risky from Ace, and luckily they've kept it clean, and Ace is down the inside through Puon and gets the roof done into 12th position, so he is going to be picking up valuable points. He's on a set of soft compound tyres as well, which will get to the end of the race, so he is going to be absolutely carving his way into contention later on in this race. As you mentioned, Benny right on the back of Venom's 4/10 of a second. TTG have just controlled this race throughout, as Joey then is into the pit lane, out on track, and now Fenny and the likes go past him, and Fenny I think is running side by side with Jorge Mir in the meantime, running for 6th and 7th position. So we see the Spaniard right on the back of his fellow countryman. Jorge 6th, Fenny in 7th, and Fenny on the back, running on to S2V. I predicted them for the win in the championship this season in the team standings. It hasn't really gone to plan, but with Fenny at the helm, as Benny has now got through on Venom, so now Fenny is going to try and get the move on Jorge. It's like Venom and Venoms last night in TTML Division 1, but Fenny is through, down on the outside line, down the Camel Straight. He is through and he's up into 6th position, as we're seeing Ruben going side by side with Joey, who I think made a little mistake coming out of the source, and Joey now will pick up the DRS right on the back of Ruben, and Ruben is an absolute sitting duck running down the straight. Or is he? Because he actually pulls away from him. Ruben pulls away. Has he got DRS on that car? I don't know what he had, but Ruben is still ahead somehow.
Neither of them had DRS, curiously enough, then, so I'm not exactly sure what's happened there. Yeah, Joey, I was with you. I thought he was going to breeze past, but I think the overtake really came through for Ruben, and he is not going to give up this position just yet for FFC. He is going to put up a fight then. Is Joey going to go for a brave one here? He's looking on the rear wing, but of course not into Puon this time around. Ace is now a few seconds up the road. They are going to be flying now, but can they make up that gap that they lost out for going into the pit lane that one extra time after the safety car then? So Ace flying, surely will be on the fast lap of the race, pretty much going throughout. But we'll see what he can do then as he powers through the remainder of the lap then. Benny leads the way still, Venom's going with him, and all of a sudden that gap to Yamama begins to come out then, and Harry B is now applying that pressure to the 3rd place man, and that battle might now ensue. Now further down the road we've got Fenny now in front of Jorge. Now you've seen these hard tires begin to come into play, less wear on them, a bit more grip maybe at this stage. The last few laps maybe coming his way. Still got a top 5 in store, and Benny with a quick recovery drive further down the field. The Riven and Joey going at it. Joey had a lunge. I think it didn't quite come off, but surely he's going to have to look for it. Going down the Camel Straight, surely it's going to be a second time lucky. Has the rear ring and Riven. Surely Riven can hold this back, then Joey will be flying up to him on the straight, surely.
He will be, surely. You would imagine the FFC man is under pressure from the IFR man out on track, as Benny has got through on Taddeo, running in towards Lecom, I think that is, and he's got the job done. And Fenny has lost the position as well to Jorge Mo, and Jorge Mo, I think, is round. But in the meantime, Joey getting the move done on Ruben Teve. There's yellow flags in sector 2 and 3. It's Frederick that is round in the final sector. Once again, it's been a disaster for TNL. Joey has sailed past, though, Ruben through and he's up into 12th position. What happened with Fenny? Because he looked like he got caught on the curb and either lost the position to Jorge Mo, had a little bit of contact.
Actually, Jorge went for the outside line, Fenny defending the inside line going into Lake Com, and I think there was just a bit of understeer from Fenny that ran him into the side pod, and the contact model just sent him flying round. He was able to keep it out the wall. I think he's still just about fine. But that is going to send it back. No end in the race now. 3.5 seconds further back than he otherwise would have been today. Now charging at him as well as Bullock into the hard runners now. Pretty much equalised. So now going at it out on track. But Benny leading the way. Venom's with him. And as it stands, Yumava is not quite within penalty range. And so Venom's can now just run with Benny to the checker flag. These CDG guys have controlled the race. And you sense that these guys behind are going to really struggle. Yumava and Venom's. This has been a back and forth battle all the way throughout for DRS. And we'll see how it charges through. We'll see how it ends up. 5 laps to go. And that's Belgian Grand Prix. And I think we're going to see the lead change hands in one last time, or maybe just one more time in the race. They seem to be going back and forth every few laps. Now Venoms has Benny lined up to the outside line. It's been a phenomenal team game between these two, particularly Joey with the first lap of the race. Behind Days on track. But are these two RFR guys just too far out back? Because we've got Yellow set in sector 1. Who's going off there? I think that's is that Frederick then, a lap down?
Yeah, Frederick, I think, a lap down, getting out of the way of cars around him. So Frederick now is a lap down out on track. Venom's still leading Benny in second, Yamava in third. I think Bolakongan got through Ontario and all of that as well, and he's up into 8th position. So he's now ahead of the SPRT man. And the SPRT team, Taddeo and Will, doing a fantastic job. They've been under the radar in this race, and they're really beginning to fly out on track towards the end of this race on that sort of hard compounded tyres as well. But you've got to say, Venoms and Benny have been masters of their work out on track. And it's not because we're affiliated as TTG commentators as well. It is because simply they have been the best team tonight. Venoms and Benny have just taken it. I'm not sure what's been boiling in the waters at Team TTG, but honestly, it is so glad to see them coming back to their brilliant best. And Yamava third, Harry Banks in fourth. They have no response simply to these two. If I was being honest and I was being very picky, I'd like to see these two fight.
Yeah, but I don't think that's exactly wise as a team then. I think they're pretty happy and content just playing a team game and driving home to the checker flag. As it stands right now, Benny's struggling a little bit to stay in that DRS, but he's safe at the front and he doesn't really need to stay in that DRS. We're now just with 4 laps to go, and it's Venoms has got the pressure on him to try and secure that second place finish. But as it stands right now, this is going to help them in the team's championship. No end. This has been a dominant display, and you can't argue really that anyone else has deserved this more. They have just been so comfortable at the front of the race. Looks like they're going to be rewarded there, unless Yamara can work miracles, unless there's mistakes to the front too. They are still cruising free.
Amazing hour. Going around the outside of Lassource, trying to go on the move. He's got to get the switch back down the hill. This is brilliant from Amazing Hour. That is a sensational move from Amazing Hour. He's on 3-lap pressure tyres, but he just made Ruben Teve look like an absolute fool out on track. Amazing Hour is through and he's up into 13th, but for how long? It's Ruben going to try and get the run back down the Camel Straight. It didn't really last long because look at the speed of Ruben now going side by side. This is a battle for 13th position, albeit, and the Spaniard is through. He's going to defend the inside line, and Ruben is back through into 13th. All of that hard work, all of that fair criticism. He tries to go around the outside of Lacombe, tries to go now on the inside in toward the outside line, running down in towards Brutal. He's not going to try it around the outside of here. No way. He's an absolute fool to try it. Ruben nearly shuts the door on him. This is a great, great battle between the FFC and the LR team out on track. Ruben 13th, Amazing Hour 14th. I don't think we've seen the last of this.
No, we certainly haven't. And Amazing Hour threw everything at him, but the DRS, once again, as we've seen, it's been a recurring theme throughout the entire race. It was simply too much to contain, too much to hold back. Then Ruben Teve getting that position back. Can Amazing Hour reclaim it? Remember, points for the entire field. And now Wade is Ruben. Is this going to allow the chance for Amazing Hour to follow through? He's had a nightmare in this race. Can he salvage something from it? He's tucked in underneath the rear wing. Is he going to go to the outside line into launch one? He's going to go brave yet again around the outside lane. The inside lane still covered. Can Amazing Hour go around the outside flat out? And he goes straight around Amazing Hour. Sensational yet again. And this time Ruben might just have no response. There's little points in over. There are some points. And they're still going at it. But now Amazing Hour powering clear. That was brilliant. Brave, bold, beautiful, and through goes Amazing Hour. P13 now. That was brilliant. What a battle between these two. One lap going at it. Further up the road, there we go. Battles going on then. Volkogi getting past Fenny in the two PRT drivers switching as well. Out there, well, going in front of Tadio out there. DRS overtakes, but I'm still getting over that. And battle between Amazing Hour and Ribbon. That was superb. They went back and forth 3 times throughout that entire lap.
Bang, bang, bang. 3 shots to the heart from Amazing Hour. Brilliant stuff. Up to 13th position he goes. And that is my catchphrase if anybody doesn't know. Ruben Tevere down in 14th. But Amazing Hour, I'd just like to pinpoint that out because that was such a sensational battle. And look at the gap that Ruben has just lost. 1.2 seconds. Amazing Hour, different class compared to Ruben. But fair play to Ruben for really giving that a good battle out on track. And I don't think we would have seen the last of this, certainly this season, here in EML Premier. Benham's leading the way from Benny in second, Yamaba in third. Harry Banks is trying to get closer to Yamaba later on in the race. Benny is right on the back of Volakongan as well. I think he got overtaken by Volakongan on the lap around down the Kemmel Straight. So now Fenny is going to try and battle back on the back of the Norwegian. Penultimate lap of the race has just begun for the leaders here in EML Premier. Benham's leading the way, Benny in second, Yamaba in third. Not going to be set in stone, I don't think, because Harry Banks right on the back in third could yet nick a podium if Yamaba picks up a 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, but and also, of course, Harry Banks does have that penalty, but it was as I was
Fenny's
going on.
Gone into the back. Fenny's gone into the back of Volakongan, very hard on the brakes. He weaves at the exit of turn 1 there. There's a side-by-side also between the two TTG boys. These guys are going to battle out on track. Venom's now behind Benny. Benny threw into the lead of the race. Benny just overshot it a little bit up into 8th position. An Amazing Hour has let Ruben Tevere back through. I think he's wanted to try and put on a bit of a show. Actually out on track. I thought he had a puncture actually. Out on track. He doesn't. And now he's going to try and have a go at Ruben Tevere. I think he just wants a battle with somebody, to be honest.
We'll see these guys go at it to the checkered flag. But we did see Fenny. I think he's got away with it, and remarkably. He is understeering a little bit out wide there through Brazil, so I'm not sure if he's maybe just about fine. Volakongan pulling clear, looking for that 7th place. Then the battle between the hard runners now going down to the wire. Fenny was so unlucky earlier on to lose out and a chance of a top 5, but now he can try and fight tooth and nail for any position he can garner out there on the road. I'm not keeping my eye off that battle for 13th place even, because they could still go at it to the flag, but of course there's still big points on offer. Up in the front looks like TTG is safe, but the battle, well, Yamaba's still got an outside chance at P2 if he has a phenomenal last lap, and Harry B is closing him down all the time. Then can he snatch a podium? Look at how late on the brakes he is, going into the bus stop chicane, and now he is all laid up, looking for P3 with a last gasp overtake we saw from his teammate last time out. Can Harry B repeat these fortunes, get onto the podium yet again will be his 4th of the season? But Yamaba punching. Great exit for the customs driver, but he is pulling clear. Of course, these teams 1 and 2 in the championship going in, and so they are free to battle. They're going to go all out for this position. From the front, Venoms moving through a Benny, going down the back straight. I'm not sure what you see further down the field there, James.
No, he got around the outside, clean through on a Rouge and Radion. Venom's through and he's into the lead of the race, and now Harry's going to fight back at Yamaba. Harry Banks, though, still trying to get past Yamaba, and Yamaba still stays in 3rd position. I'm going to go back to the battle for 13th, I think. Ruben and Amazing Hour are battling as well. Amazing Hour closing in on the back of Ruben Tevere, on the run down towards the Rouge and Radion. This is the final battle, really, out on track, apart from Fenny and Volakongan. And look at the run that Amazing Hour has got. They're catching, I think that's Frederick's AI car just in front as well. But now Amazing Hour to the outside line, Ruben on the inside line. This is going to be very, very close indeed, and I think Amazing Hour has been gifted the position. Amazing Hour through and he's up into 13th position, and now he can pull away from Ruben Tevere. Really good battle between those two. Venom's then on the final half a lap. Benny is trying to gain on him. It looks to me as if Venom's is going to win this out on track for TTG, but Benny in second. Yamaba is only 3.3 seconds away. I don't think it's going to be good enough to try and take the 3rd position out on track, but he's actually getting close down by Harry Banks coming in towards Pontramon. I think Harry's going to have a go at Yamaba here, front into the back of Yamaba, and is he going to stay in behind? Yamaba defends, Harry Banks to the outside line. Venom's in the meantime Round the final corner, comes across the line to win. Benny in second, and Harry Banks has got around the outside. Yamava's going to finish in third, and he gets nicked on the line. He picks up a 5-second time penalty anyways. Yamava in third, Harry Banks in fourth, and Aroa in fifth on the 8-10th off in the end. Jorge Mura in sixth. Volokongan and Fenny will jump up positions up to 6th and 7th. Will across the line in 9th, Taddeo in 10th, they'll drop down. Ace across the line in 11th has picked up a good result in the end for IFR. Joey in 12th after that catastrophic restart under the safety car. Amazing hour, an amazing performance, left alone in 13th position. A great battle with Ruben Tepe later on in the race. He gets 12th in fact ahead of Joey. Ruben stays in 14th. Bullet Boy will come across the line in 15th. And Yosu, I saw a comment there in the comment section that somebody is his father. I'm not sure if that's the case. He's down in 16th position, so I would be disappointed in your boy if you were, as that's a massive crash by Bullet Boy, as Josu now is coming through the final couple of corners, and he's coming across the line to finish in 16th position. But what a race out on track. TTG 1-2, Benny winning from Venoms in second, and Yosu, I thought was going to do a donut, but he hasn't. And he's going to crash. Yeah.
And that is going to be it then for the Belgian Grand Prix. We are now getting into the deep stages in the season. Volokongan, I think that's the second week in a row he's been given, or the second race in a row, I should say. He's been given driver of the day by the Endgame fans. So, yeah, very good. Again, a recovery drive from Volokongan out there, recovering, getting some good points on the board yet again. But it was all about TTG tonight. And, of course, that thrilling battle to the line between Yamava and Harry B as well behind. That was won by Yamava. Of course, Harry B might be able to get that penalty removed as well. So it really did come down to the last corner. We were wheel banging all the way throughout. It was thrilling stuff. But in the end, the Spaniard just about saw it through. But he couldn't quite trouble these top two. As, Benny wins, Venom second. And they were never troubled at any point throughout that race and looked absolutely dominant at the front of the red race. That is your podium then with Harry B P4. Adroer lost out in the pit lane, could have maybe had a lot more from this race. He is P5 though, a solid result and good points for CGT. Volokongan recovers to second. He was the leader out of all those hard runners in the second stint there. Good drive from Volokongan. He wraps up P6 in the end from Benny. We saw that last lap battle. Those guys went at it to the line, but it was in the end Volokongan that came out on top. These guys both jumped. Jorge Mur, who had to settle for P8 in the end. He was really in the wars tonight then from Will, who we did see him recovering from an early race spin. He drove home a decent result in the end. Ace rounds out the top 10. Behind that, you have Taddeo, Amazing Hour, Joey and Ruben. We saw that battle between Amazing Hour and Ruben to the line. Bullet Boy, Josu, Frederick, they didn't have the best showing, so they didn't quite go their way. Young Power, Lewis, Chapeloli, they did not see out the checkered flag. That is going to be it for tonight. And TTG, I think, even though they had a big deficit going in, they are now, I'd say, back in the championship hunt, and then with a real fighting chance into those last few rounds.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how all of this is going to unfold going into the final 3 rounds. Italy up next, of course, around the Temple of Speed. It's going to be fascinating to see how that race goes on. Amazing, I was saying in the comment section there, that was horrible. That was horrible. It was dirty, you doing the move, trying to go around the outside of Bruxelles, and then getting the move done eventually, ran the outside and dipping under through the bus stop chicane, which was absolutely, ran the outside of Blancheron, which was absolutely brilliant. And Josu, very proud, people are saying, of Josu down there in 15th or 16th position out on track. Venom's second position, his best result of the season. Bullet Boy, 15th position, his best result of the season. And it's Benny's first victory with TTG as well, within EML, certainly. Fantastic stuff. Harry Banks, his previous worst result was third, and he finished fourth.
That is phenomenal consistency, and he's been a real reason as to why Leonis have been so successful. I mean, he's come third, I think in pretty much each of the, I think 2 of the last 3 races before this one, and he's drove through yet again with a strong result and nearly getting that podium at the end as well. And yeah, I think that is that really shows through that level of consistency, as well as Amazing Hour, who it says on the task that his previous worst result was first. So I guess that says that says everything you need to know. Leonis didn't have a good day, but they still should be out there. But TTG are right back in it. CGT also having a really good race. Those 2 teams were right up the front, and they'll be chasing down that championship battle, and all of a sudden hangs on a knife edge heading into those last few rounds.
It does hang on a knife edge, and definitely I think it's going to be so fascinating to see how everything is going to unfold out on track. thank you to everyone that has tuned in. I think we had something like 65 viewers at any one time in that stream, which was absolutely phenomenal. Thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in. Without you guys, we don't have League Racing TV, and we wouldn't have a job as commentators. It's as simple as that. And Tom wouldn't have a job doing the fantastic graphics. And certainly, Theobald, who does the task system, wouldn't have a job doing the task system either. So all of your support is much appreciated. Final 3 rounds of the championship to go, of course, in this season of EML Premier. For the next 3 weeks on a Wednesday night, it will be EML League 1? No, I'm wrong with that, aren't I? TTML League 1, I think it is, the No Assist League. That's happening on Wednesdays. I still need to perfect my perfection of the title for that. But looking at the calendar, Italy, Singapore, Brazil, over the next 3 months. 31st of March is the next time, so mark that down in your diaries, mark that on your iPhone, your iPad, whatever you have. There are other smartphones and Android devices out there, of course. And Singapore and Brazil, rounds 9 and 10. But Dan, I will come across to you for your final thoughts, and more importantly, who was your driver of the day?
Well, first of all, I'll say that you were actually right the first time on the Wednesday League we're running. It is EML Formula 1. So just for future reference there. But yeah, of course, final thoughts. Really action-packed races we're accustomed to seeing. Few incidents out there that I think could have been avoided, so maybe a few things that needed to be tidied up. But overall, a very good show yet again, and it's been amazing to host it alongside you once again, James. I think for driver of the day, well, I'd say drivers of the day would have to be both those TTG guys. I think as for team of the day, I think I'd have to nominate them because just the way that they, not only their pace, but just the way they coordinated, going back and forth throughout the race. Of course, I think it was Venom who dropped back through that pit stop phase, fought all the way back, straight up with Benny, and those guys just controlled it from the front then. Absolutely stellar stuff. And if they are retained for future rounds, they're going to be a tough force to stop for any driver, any team, and TTG could really move into the ascendancy. Those two drivers were superb tonight, and I'm looking forward to seeing them again in future rounds.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I think I've got to give my drive of the day certainly to the two TTG guys as well. Big shout out to Fenny, I think, as well. He did really good in that race. Volakongan as well. Just seen an incident, by the way, between himself and Lewis going through on lap 9 out of 22. Lewis hit the wall. His wheel only came off 3 or 4 seconds after that. So that was so unlucky for Lewis, I think, and be wanting to see better from him going forward for CPI. But more action to come. Tomorrow night, you can tune in to Daniel Hoggard for Division 2 alongside Michael Edwards for that at 8 p.m. and Division 3 with Aidan Carter and Conti. Myself and Paco Suarez taking you through Division 4 on Friday, and then Division 5 is going to be James Boyle taking you through the action for Division 5 of TTML. And then we do it all over again. So Sunday night, TTML F2. Monday night, CWCT is 1 and 2. Then Tuesday night is TTML Division 1. And then we're back at it again, EML League 1, and it's going to be fascinating. And I am under the impression that you and Aidan are doing that, aren't you? You are.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank God I got that right. I didn't want to look like an absolute mug on the stream. Well, maybe I already am, but there we are. That's for another day. But final thoughts from me. Please stay safe in this crazy world that we are all living in. It's been an absolute honour and pleasure to bring you the action, of course, for EML. My voice is going. I'm sure Dan's is going as well. So we will end it there. For myself, James Head, and from Daniel Hoggard, thank you so much for tuning in. Keep sticking at it. Light is at the end of the tunnel. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, goodbye.
Keep on wasting life. I'm drowning in my head, I'm losing the mind. And if you could know, yeah, if I could show you, I don't wanna keep on living this life so faceless. Some say
Unknown Brain, Marvin Devine, and we back. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Made it through the rain, I turn nothing into something. No more dealing with their assumptions, cause I do what I gotta do and I know, can't nobody do it like me. All they do is judge me for who I might be. Maybe if they took some time to pick my mind to see that I'm cooler than lemons and iced tea. All I wanna do is live it up with the homies. Everybody really talking as if they know me, but I guess I gotta face it. I'm so tired of being faceless.
I don't wanna keep on wasting life. I'm drowning in my head, I'm losing the mind. And if you could know, yeah, if I could show you, I don't wanna keep on living this life so faceless.
So faceless.
I've got a premonition, I'm dreaming you and I. All my darkest fears are coming outside. We got a billion races, we got this melody, and you can trust me, baby, we got everything. Call me whenever you feel alone, babe. And when you need to cry, I'll be by your side. Call me whenever you need someone, babe. And when you need to escape from 1,000 fires, I'm gonna kiss you wherever you are. And I'm gonna miss you, I will never lie. Call me whenever you need someone, babe. We're running in the jungle of love. I got you on my mind. You were stuck in my head and I don't know why. We got a billion races, we got this melody, and you can trust me, baby, we got everything. Call me whenever you feel alone, babe. And when you need to cry, I'll be by your side. Call me whenever you need someone, babe. And when you need to escape from 1,000 fires, I'm gonna kiss you wherever you are. And I'm gonna miss you, I will never lie. Call me whenever you need someone, babe. We're running in the jungle of love.
I remember the days, always at the same place, the same people every day. I will never forget this black old Corvette standing in front of my way. We were both in high school, I thought I was a fool. Oh, when I was falling for you, you keep drawing me in, and I know it's a sin, but even so, yeah, I need you. You taste like candy, eat you on a Sunday. Feels so bittersweet, knowing I can leave. You taste like candy.